So, we are finally here. We officially start the Kane Hodder era of Jason movies with Friday the 13th Part 7. Here on out, this is going to be tough. Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for joining me for the Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood review. And the plot of Part 7 is there's a young girl called Tina who accidentally, as a child, killed her father through her telekinetic powers. And I think I've just said that right, but I'm never going to say it again. She accidentally kills her abusive father when she was a child, and he ends up drowning in the lake. She goes back to Camp Crystal Lake many years later and tries to resurrect her father, but unfortunately for her, and as we all know, Jason Voorhees has been at the bottom of that lake since the end of Part 6, which I really don't know why, because you would have thought the authorities would have removed him from that lake at the end. Obviously not. But unfortunately for Tina, but great for all of us, Jason Voorhees is resurrected and comes back and causes havoc again. Because there are still young people that decide to go to this lake to party. It's like none of the other movies have happened. So part 7. And bear this in mind as well. So, did we establish that part 6 probably took place to the early to mid 90s? So, at the beginning of this movie, Jason is established as still being in the bottom of that lake at the start of this movie, and Tina's a young girl. So, let's say Tina is probably between the ages of, to be generous, maybe 10, 12 years old. And then we fast forward to the future, and we'll say she's probably supposed to be maybe between the ages of 18 and 20. That means part 7 will take place in the early 2000s. The timeline of Friday the 13th is just amazing to me when you really think about it. And it looks like it's in the 80s because it was filmed in the 80s and that's when it came out. But that's just a little thing for me. I just find that funny. I do. But to get into my positives of Friday the 13th Part 7 and New Blood, the standout is Kane Hodder as Jason. Now, I've enjoyed all the other Jasons leading up to Kane Hodder's Jason. I think every actor that's got the Jason role has brought literally their own unique style and flavour to that role. And they've all been great. I haven't thought there's been a Jason that's been bad in any of these movies. I really haven't. But the reason why I do prefer Kane Hodder over the others is he just brought something different to the role, like a little bit of personality for me. And also, particularly in the final act of this movie, which is another positive for me, he does so much great stunt work in this movie because the final act is one of the best parts of any Friday the 13th movie because it's basically Carrie versus Jason. And it's the first time that we've seen Jason really, really take a hiding and meet his match and come up against something, you know. And it's great to watch. And there's some fantastic special effects work that go on in the final act of this movie. There really does. And like I say, Kane Hodder does a great job. Absolute great job. I mean, man, the guy gets set on fire. Right? And at that point in time, I think it was the longest sequence of a stuntman on fire in a movie up until that point, I believe. So the work there is absolutely fantastic. And like I say, it's a great final act of the movie. Like, I love it. It's highly entertaining to me. Also, this is the best that Jason's looked in any of the Friday the 13th movies. I love this Jason. I've got it up there, and it's my favourite Jason figure. He just looks fantastic. It's some great, great makeup work on Jason in this one. I just love the way you can just see the bones and his ribs and his spine. And it's got the damage on the mask from the end of the sixth one there. And it's still got the axe, still got that in the mask. And it's just like, he just looks awesome. And especially when the mask comes off. I mean, the makeup work there is just honestly fantastic for me. Chef's kiss, it really is. He looks horrific. Like you just do not want to be around this dude whatsoever. And you can literally see every battle scar that he's got throughout all the movies. And I just think it's absolutely great work there. I really do. Unfortunately for me, they're the only positives I have with Part 7 because overall, I don't particularly enjoy this movie. I find it a bit of a slog to sift through. I've got to be honest with you. So I'll give you a little background on what I do with these reviews. Not with all of them, but most of them. So I tend to watch these movies probably a couple of times just to see where I do fall with the movie, just to see, like, you know, and if I've missed little things. I just like to be able to watch it twice so I can go, right, okay. And then I'm confident to give my review for you guys about what I think. So I watched it again for the first time just a few days ago. And then I stuck it on for the second time today, just before filming this review for you guys, just to like refresh myself for it and just see where I fall and blah, blah, blah. And I ended up just turning it off about 15, 20 minutes into this movie because I just thought, oh, I just can't sit through and just fucking watch this. Like, I just find it extremely boring when Jason isn't on screen. Like, the characters in this movie, I really, 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 really couldn't care about. Really couldn't care less. And you spend far too much time with them. And I know that's probably a criticism of most Friday the 13th, where they say, like, they don't really build any, like, character development with their characters. You know, they're just there for Jason to be killed off. Which, okay, a lot of the time, it is true. But I thought the characters in past Friday the 13th movies are just far, far better than the characters in Part 7. Now, I don't know whether it was the acting or the actors or the characters were underdeveloped or whatever. I'm not too sure. Like, just overall, I just didn't care for them whatsoever. And I've put this into me negatives, but it's not a negative of the people working on this movie. It's just more a negative that this happened in general. Because the MPAA massively, massively went to town on this movie, and it's such a shame because the special effects work that were done for most of these kills, if you ever manage to find like the takes for them that what they filmed that's not in the movie, some of the kills are absolutely brilliant in this movie, but the MPAA made the filmmakers butcher their movie, butcher it, and you don't see anything. And it's such a shame because I'll give you an example. There's one kill in this movie where a lad with a head like crushes his head, literally like that. Now, if you see the footage of it originally filmed, and it's not the greatest footage in the world, granted, but you get to see the kills of what they were meant to be. And he crushes his head like right down to this. It's great effect work, it really is. In the movie, you barely see anything. You just see him grab him, you hear the crushing sound a little bit, you see a little bit of blood, then that's it. You know, it's such a shame. And like I say, before like even the blade hits them or like whatever the kill is, it just cuts away from it so quick. And it's like, I think if they would have, MPAA would have allowed them to show what they wanted to show, it might have lifted the movie for me a little bit more with the kills, but yeah, it's such a shame. I feel sorry for the special effects team on that one because you can see they did some fantastic work. They really did. But overall, yeah, I just find Part 7 just, I really do. Considering what we got before it, I just find this one a massive downer. And I hate the ending of this movie. It is so fucking dumb. And I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. It makes zero sense. It's just, there must have been 100 better endings they could have gone with than this one. So basically, they're on the dock, and Jason's there, and Tina uses her mind powers, because I'm not saying that word again, uses her mind powers to resurrect the dad, who comes up with a chain, wraps it around Jason, and then pulls him back into the lake. It's so out of nowhere. It's ridiculous. And not only that, he's not even like decaying or a zombie or anything. He just looks like he's just gone for a dip and just jumped up with it. And he did have, I think, a scene shot where the dad like looked like a zombie and was decaying, and he looked like he'd been in the water for years and came up. Okay, that slightly would have been better, but still makes no sense whatsoever. So it leaves me with questions like, so basically when her dad drowned in that lake, did they just leave his body in that lake? So obviously they must have had a funeral for him or something, but did they just leave his body in there? Or is he supposed to be a ghost at the end of the... I'm not even talking about it anymore. Whatever. Just not the honest to God, I hate the ending of this movie. Absolutely hate it. But, yeah, it's... Unfortunately now, guys, we are getting into the worst of this series, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm done. Talking about part 7 now, I'm done. So, because the final act of this movie is decent, and it really is decent, it's good, and I do like Kane Hodder as Jason, I will give part 7... I'll give it a 2 out of 5. I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Like I say, there are elements of this movie I do like, but overall, I just find it a slog to sift through. I really do. So, guys, what do you think of part 7? Let me know in the comments below. It is always a pleasure hearing from you, and I've probably pissed a lot of you off because I know there's a lot of fans of part 7. And I understand it to a certain extent, I do, but it's just not for me overall, guys, unfortunately. So, as always, guys, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.